Welcome back, and thank you again for joining me on my learning block. Yes, I'm so excited. All right, so today we are writing sentences. I know, sentences. Are they fun? Are they not? We'll have to find out. All right, so we're writing sentences, and what that composed of is understanding what sentences are. What are they? How do you write them? What's not a sentence? What is a sentence? Thank you for being here. We'll find out. All right, so sentences are a set of words that is complete. They contain a subject and a predicate, and it makes sense. So sentences, examples early on, once my handy dandy pen starts working. I know. Sentences, subject, yeah. Predicate, yeah. We need both of those. Set of words that is complete. What does that mean? Well, let's say a bottle. Is that complete? What it should be is a complete thought. Is that complete? Do you know when I say a bottle, does that make sense? No, of course not. So a bottle is not a sentence. But what is a sentence and how do we do it? Again, subject and predicates. That's the focus on this whole idea. Subject, predicates, then they have to agree, then they have to make sense, then it has to do something. Yes, we're talking sentences and not I am, which is a sentence. We're not talking about that. We're trying to go further. All right, so what is a subject when you're helping your child understand this concept? A subject is a noun, basically. It's something or someone. As you see, it could be a place, such as the globe. It could be a person, such as the little girl, and to you. And it could also be an object, so a person, place, or thing, such as the ball, and it can be a concept or an idea as well. But that's your subject. Now, what is a predicate, you may be asking? Well, a predicate is a verb. It's doing. It's something doing something. It's the process of doing. You know, it's the verb, the action. Check out our verb video. You know, it might help you out. Gotcha. All right, so as you see here, it could be eating, it could be sleeping, it could be running, it could be talking, it could be thinking. It has to be an action. All right. So for lack of better words, even though I probably do have better words, it is a sentence is something doing action. And it has to be complete or makes sense. And if it makes sense, then it makes a sentence. I know, the rhymes. So great. I love it. All right, so let's put this all together. When a subject meets a predicate, a sentence is formed. For instance, all right, remember that whole thing about a bottle? All right. Let's see here. I have, that I is terrible, a bottle. Now, we have another subject in here, but if you think about this whole thing, I have, that's me. I have, yes. What do I have? A bottle. Does that make sense? Yes, it makes perfect sense. So it is a sentence. Now, let's go forward. And I know I wrote it again, but let's see when you're working with your child and creating sentences. A lot of times what I do is I take pictures or I take objects and I take actions. So when I'm helping my child, or when you're helping your child develop these sentences, what you want to do is you want to kind of prompt them into creating sentences initially. So have actual objects. So I'm going to move over here and I'm going to take this great book, Everything Grows, by photo illustrated by Bruce McMillan. All right, so I have a book. All right, so the book is my subject. The book is my subject. Now the book has to do something. All right, the book is sitting, right? So the book, let's see if I could pull this up. The book, and I know I write kind of slanted. That's just my fault. Is sitting. It really is. It's sitting right here. All right, it's sitting right here. All right, so what's my subject? My subject is book. And what is the book doing? Sitting. It is sitting. All right, so basically your sentence takes that whole idea of a subject and predicate. Now, what is not a sentence? Well, I'm glad you asked, because when you're working with your child, you want to give them opportunities to understand what is and what is not. Use those words. What is not a sentence? And let them kind of construct their own ideas and their thoughts about it. All right, so a sentence is not book sitting. Why is that not a sentence? And here, I'll even capitalize the B. Why is that not a sentence? Well, when you ask your child this, what you can expect to hear is they'll say, well, it doesn't make sense. Book sitting. It doesn't, right? The book has to be in the process of. If you go back and if you really want to be smart about it, what makes this predicate come to life sitting is, all right, it's in the process of, is doing something. It is sitting. It is raining. It is not raining. That is kind of creates that whole concept of it's doing something. Now, book sitting, it's just a incomplete thought. All right, so that's what you want to kind of stress with your child, that it's either an incomplete thought where it does not make sense, or it's a complete thought and it does make sense. Book sitting makes no sense. The book is sitting makes perfect sense. The book has sat makes good sense too, right? And thank you, Mr. McMillan. I know, it's great. All right, so next thing you want to do is check it over. Have your child give them the opportunity to check over whether or not it is and is not a sentence. And again, find these in our resources. Yes, they are there. All right. And so we're going to look at these 4 sentences and decide or determine whether or not they're a sentence. Because in order to create, your child must first be able to understand, comprehend. All right. So the dog walked to the store. Do I have a subject? Dog. Did the subject do something? Walk. We even know where the dog walked. To the store. Yes, that's actually a preposition, but that's a different video. All right, so to the store. If you walked up to someone, and this is the word you should use with your child. If you walked up to someone and said, to the store, will they have an idea of what you're talking about? And they'll say, no. Therefore, it is not a sentence. The next one, goes to the zoo. All right, so just think randomly. Walk up to someone, goes to the zoo. They'll be like, get away from me, dude. Yes, they would, because it is not a complete sentence. But if you walked up to someone and said, my family goes to the zoo, and I know I shouldn't have capitalized zoo, and I also should have put a period right here. If you said something like that, excuse me, then it makes sense. All right, so we have family, and what does the family do? They goes. I know, that was pretty funny, inside joke. All right, so they goes to the zoo. All right, so my family goes to the zoo. You have your subject, you have your predicate, and it makes sense. Now, as I said before, there are rules to sentences, and these rules are sentences should start with a capital letter. What that does is basically shows the reader where they should start each and every sentence. It's like an indentation to a paragraph. It's the beginning of a sentence. And every sentence does start with the capital letter. There's not many that do not. And also, sentences should end in some type of punctuation. Notice I did not say period, because not all sentences end in periods. That's a whole nother concept where you're teaching your child the difference between periods, exclamation points, question marks. All right, there's a difference. Don't tell them every sentence ends with a period, because they'll have an interrogative sentence ending with a period, and it doesn't make sense. So just at this point, say every sentence ends with a punctuation. Well, we're going to use is periods. And that works a whole lot better. Now, again, I want to thank you for joining me on my learning block. Thank you for learning how to write sentences with me. Keep learning, and I will see you next time.